Hello my friends, let's go to the frontline updates. Russians tried to offense towards Sreblyansk, but their attack failed. We have this video from a Ukrainian drone thermal camera, so 1, 2, 3 of the armored vehicles of the Russian Federation Army. It's kind of the rare event that they offense with armored vehicles. Usually those are motorcycles, all-terrain vehicles or Ladas. But here 3 of the BMPs which were found by Ukrainian surveillance drones and were followed by Ukrainian FPV drones, so one by one those vehicles were disabled. Yeah, definitely looks like a video game, but it's the real life. All of the 3 vehicles were kaputted despite their anti-drone armor. The Russian infantry which survived landed from the vehicles, but it was an open field, so Ukrainian drone drops finished the job completely, the entire ambushment of the Russian convoy on the way to Sreblyansk. It seems like the local Russian commander in this region still follows the old-school tactics, sending convoy after convoy, because before, in the same spot, Ukraine ambushed already 2 of those mid-wave attacks. Usually Russians advance with the small groups, like for example it happened in Pokrovsk, where Ukraine imprisoned many of Russians. It happened at the beginning of this month, then Russians definitely moved to Pokrovsk. But later on they were imprisoned by Ukrainian army. I already told about this case in one of my videos. Nevertheless, Russians have multiple of the attempts to move to Pokrovsk, and for the last 24 hours we have the new update, so they moved to Davydov. It was yesterday, it is today, you can see the movement. They use Davydov as the bridgehead for their further operations in Pokrovsk, those sabotage ones, and recently Ukrainian tank managed to ambush one more Russian sabotage group. Yeah, Ukraine used Leopard 2 tank for this mission. Well, at the same time, Ukraine lost T-64 tank in Pokrovsk itself. Probably it was hit by FPV drone of the Russian army. This is the place where tank was hit. Well, here you see that Ukraine tries to regain some of the territory in the southern part of Pokrovsk, but Russia uses artillery. Yeah, they struck one of the building there. They claim that there were Ukrainian soldiers inside, but it's hard to judge in this video. What we have is the geolocation of the strike. That's it. About the recent Ukrainian counterattack towards Smyrna, yeah, it was successful, but as you may see, Ukraine is losing some of the vehicles, armored vehicle and 2 of the pickup trucks. And this local facility was liberated by Ukraine, some sort of the factory. For sure, with lots of the underground rooms, which could be a hide for Ukrainian soldiers. As you may see, with every counterattack you have more losses. The exception was probably over here in Kucherev Yar and Zoloty Kolodets. There Ukraine haven't lost any sort of the vehicles, tanks whatsoever. But Russians were cut and trapped, and they are unable to advance any longer to Zoloty Kolodets. And now to the Toretsk and Konstantinivka direction. It seems like Ukrainian military command already made the decision to withdraw forces from Katerinovka and Klebanbyk. This is the area. As you see, Katerinovka was taken by Russians. We have the confirmation about it. Some Russians waving Russian flag out there in destroyed village. Jay confirmed definitely it is the village of Katerinovka. So Klebanbyk is the next village for Ukraine to withdraw the forces, for them not to be jammed in this area. I wonder if Ukraine still controls those fields. For me, it looks unrealistic. I think that all of the remains of the forces are moved here, and this is just the gray area. So this night, or maybe the next one, Ukraine will fully leave this area and it will be colored in a red color, which means that Ukraine should concentrate all of the forces on defense of Konstantinivka. There are multiple of the strikes on the Russian army in this area. You may see the symbols of those Ukrainian drones here, but the drones are not the only solution to stop Russian attacks. A beautiful video from Zaporizhia direction, where Russians tried to move with their Hunger tank modified for infantry carrying vehicle. There were multiple of the drone strikes on this one because it has the drone armor, but finally our warriors managed to stop the vehicle. It was stopped right at the crossroad over here, and later on Russians started to leave the vehicle. By the time they were leaving, Ukraine dropped several of the drone drops. Oh, by the way, here you may see the Russian motorcycle. And finally, tank was kaboomed, all of the ammunition inside detonated. Those few Russian soldiers who made it probably went to the local trenches to hide, but they still are vulnerable to Ukrainian drone drops, even in the trenches. And this is the example of the Russian servicemen wearing the anti-drone cloaks, special coats to hide the thermal trace, but here the ground even was warm, so Ukrainian drone operators managed to find it. Yeah, I did my own censorship here, so this is the cloak itself, the special coat which Russian soldiers carry, but I would say that it was a really wrong place to deploy this one. They should put it at least over there, because this is the open space. no grass, nothing, so it accumulates the heat during the daytime and releases it during the nighttime. This area just shines bright, and of course this dark tent is visible. Usually the places for such tent deployment are close to the trees or in the grass, bushes, but this is the very stupid move from this particular Russian soldier. Clearly they messed up with their training. So it all happened in Zaporizhia direction, where Ukraine tries to stop the Russian army advancement. You may see here that Ukrainian soldiers were imprisoned by Russians, as well as Russian soldiers were imprisoned by Ukrainians. Stepnogorsk, as you may see, is already in the gray zone. Here we have the latest update from the Miko Center 3, definitely expansion of the gray zone. Plavny was fully captured by Russians. Alright, Ukrainian volunteers made this drone, and there will be many of those coming to Zaporizhia Frontline. They say at first the drone is very heavy and it might drop even aviation bomb. It's the new development of the Baba Yaga drones. It's called Heavy Shot. So this FAB 150, 150 kilograms, is not a problem for it. As one of the communication systems, here we go with Starlink antenna. And there is one more direction, my friends, where we should speak about. This is the Dnipropetrovsk region already, and Russia is very close to Vorona and Novoselivka. Let's zoom out a little. It was yesterday. It is today. Russians went several kilometers towards Novoselivka. A very narrow sabotage attack by Russians with just few of the infantry forces. Nevertheless, Novoselivka, as you may see, is in the gray area. Here, potentially Russians might go to this forest patch and hide there for some time, so I expect that Russia might pour more of the infantry to this place. What we have in Kupiansk direction for now, the situation is without changes for the last 2 consecutive days. Maybe Ukraine sent extra reinforcements to cut this Russian assault. We'll see how it goes here in the next 1 or 2 weeks. Oh my god, I'm speaking like Trump here. About the last night's attack on Ukraine, Keith Kellogg already posted that Russia launched 600 drones and 31 missiles on Ukraine. Capital city of Kiev was hit the most, and not soldiers and weapons, but residential areas in Kiev were targeted. Well, as I showed you before, Russia also hit Bayraktar factory and one of the military ships of Ukraine, but they were not in the Kiev itself. So the strikes on Kiev, or the strikes on any kind of the settlement in Ukraine, just on civilian infrastructure, shows that Russia wants to terrorize Ukrainian society. And about the Ukrainian ship in Dunaba River, here we have the visual confirmation, the drone camera of the Russian drone probably. And here you can see that the ship was hit, definitely. There was the big strike. I wonder what remained from the ship. The Russian side say that the ship is no-go. I wonder what they used for this strike. Could be a caliber cruise missile. We don't see the close-by perspective of this image. As I've told you in my previous video, this ship was hit. We have the situation update about Magyar. Hungary said that it blocked not just the entrance to its country, but to Schengen zone, which they cannot do actually. So Magyar came out with his own response on that, telling get lost. Well, Radoslaw Sikorski, who is the foreign minister of Poland, already said that Hungary bans a brave ethnic Hungarian who dares to fight for Ukraine's freedom. Commander Magyar, if you need some R&R and Hungary won't let you in, please be our guest in Poland. Yes, Hungary cannot block entrance to entire Schengen area. They may exit it if they want really. But to block for other countries, no, they cannot do it. And Magyar said about it, laughing on those pricks. And I just hope that next year Hungarians will resolve this issue with their crazy Orban dictatorship regime. Guys, here I want to share my thanks again to those guys who support me on Patreon. Guys, thank you so much for maintaining my motivation to film more of the videos. And today I want to film one more video for you, yes, for everyone. So stand by for it. I'm gonna upload it in a few hours. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.